It was during the summer that the Trump administration began turning up the heat on India for continuing to buy Russian crude. A move Washington had initially encouraged after the Ukraine war to stabilize global oil prices. Now, Trump has slapped an additional 25% tariff on top of the one imposed in early August, aiming to punish India for what he calls energy defiance. This week, the rhetoric turned personal. Senior trade officials in the Trump administration targeted India's wealthiest families without naming anyone directly. On Tuesday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who was the right-hand man of George Soros for 24 years, accused these families of making $16 billion in excess profits by purchasing discounted Russian oil and reselling it as refined product, calling it Indian arbitrage. The accusation followed a blistering op-ed in the Financial Times by White House trade advisor Peter Navarro. Navarro claimed that Russian crude wasn't being used for domestic consumption, but rather for profiteering by India's big oil lobby. He alleged that the profits were flowing to politically connected energy tycoons and ultimately into Vladimir Putin's war chest.
India bought virtually no Russian oil. Let me say it again. Prior to the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, India bought virtually no Russian oil. I mean, it was like 1% of their needs. So the argument somehow now, as the percentage has gone up to like 30 and 35%, that somehow they need Russian oil to cool their homes or cook or drive their cars is nonsense.
Public sector refiners like Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, Hindustan Petroleum have also been importing Russian crude, largely using it to meet India's domestic fuel demand. But it's the private players, Reliance Industries, India's largest private company, and Nayara Energy, previously SR Oil and now part of Russia's Rosneft, that seem to have drawn attention of the White House. Their refineries have been exporting massive volumes of refined products to Europe and the US, capitalizing on discounted Russian oil to generate outsized profits. The refiners maintain that they have not violated a single sanction related to Russian crude oil purchase or sales. Media reports show most of the crude imported from Russia being consumed by PSU refiners, with RIL's share hovering at around 30 to 35% in the past 3 years. Nayara's shares has dropped this year. But it is the export market where RIL shines. While PSU refiners export an average of 20 to 25% refined Russian oil, mainly to regional markets, RIL exports more than half the processed Russian crude. Nayara's share has fallen this year. In fact, analysts estimate that Reliance may have saved nearly $570 million in the first half of 2025 alone by sourcing Russian crude, placing the company squarely in the diplomatic spotlight.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.